Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for watching my video. Today I'm going to be doing a video for absolute beginners, and this is for crochet. This is for the people that are wanting to get into crochet but they're not sure how to get started. This is just a video in regards to the materials that you'll be using and what to consider when starting your crocheting journey. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is the crochet hooks. There's different types of material that are used to make these hooks. These are the ones that are most common that I come across, and I want to just talk to you about that. So these are the plastic ones that I've gotten. I don't use these a whole lot. I did find these at the thrift store, and I just kind of have these as a backup in case I can't find my aluminum ones. So that's what these are here for. Some people really enjoy using plastic, and so if that's something that you feel like you could use, go ahead. If not, then it's all about preference, and you don't have to accommodate to what other people like to do. And so then there's also the wood ones. This is bamboo. I ordered this set on Amazon, and I really enjoyed using this set. I don't know what happened to my other wooden hooks, but there's only this one that survived, and it's a 4.5 millimeter. I don't typically use this very often. I usually use this hook to weave in my my ends when I'm done with a project, and that's usually what I'll use this for, or for projects that call for a 4.5 millimeter hook, then I'll use this. And it's a good hook to use. I don't have any complaints about it. I usually use the aluminum or metal hooks though. These ones are a lot easier to come by. It doesn't matter if it's at a thrift store or at a store like Walmart, or even Amazon. These are the most common ones that I come across, and these are the ones that I typically use when I am doing a crochet project. So there's different sizes. There's a much thicker one. This one's a 9 millimeter, and this is for a thicker yarn. Or there's the 5 millimeter hook, which is the one that I would recommend using when you start off. It's just a 5 millimeter hook or an H hook, and using this with just a regular acrylic yarn. And I'm actually going to talk to you about the yarn in just a second. And there's also the 4.25 millimeter hook. I actually started using this millimeter hook when I first started crocheting. And I did this because I thought that, for some reason, I thought that crochet was supposed to have very tight stitches. And so all of my projects that I first started with were, the tension was really, really tight, because not only did I use a smaller size hook, when I was crocheting, I was doing it very, very tightly. So a lot of my projects came out with a lot of tension. And as I got more experience, I realized that's not how crochet projects are supposed to, or stitches are supposed to look. And as you can tell, I've gotten a lot better with not using so much tension in my stitches. This is actually a crochet. I can't remember. I think this is half double crochet stitches. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to look back, but this is one of the crochet projects that I started and never finished, and that does happen often with crochet, at least for me. Some crocheters are able to finish their projects completely, and some, like me, we start projects and then for some reason or another we move on to a different one, or we just don't finish it. So that happens. And I also wanted to talk to you about these fancier sets of crochet hooks that you can get at Amazon. This was gifted to me by a friend. Oops, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that it was upside down, as a Christmas gift 2 years ago, I believe. And the cool thing is that it does give you different size hooks. So some people will say use a B size or an H, and what they're really referring to is a 5 millimeter hook. Personally, I like to use the metric scale, which is 5 millimeter, 4.5, that kind of thing. But I have noticed people who will say I'm using a J hook or an I hook or an H hook. And so this is helpful to have when someone says one or the other, you'll know what to use. I don't advise that you get this really fancy set when you just start off with your crochet journey. And the reason for that is because there's several reasons. First of all, when you're first starting off with a project, you don't know if you're going to continue that journey or not. And so that's why I tell people, please, please, please start with a very, very basic, and in this case, it would be just a 5mm hook and yarn, and that's it. And then you can check it out, do basic stitches, and then if you feel like this is something you want to continue, you can, and then you can move on to getting more of a fancier set like this, or getting more advanced materials. So that's part of the reason why I advise people to start very basic. The other reason is when you get fancier materials and you spend all this money, people have a tendency of putting really unrealistic expectations on themselves. That's how I started. I started trying to crochet scarves and blankets and with really complicated stitches instead of using the basic stitches and enhancing my experience. And so I almost quit crocheting because of that. So that's also another reason why I ask people not to overwhelm themselves. Just go with simple. So now I want to talk to you about the yarn. So this is acrylic yarn. This type of yarn you'll use a lot, or at least I have in my own personal crocheting. You can get this yarn at Amazon, Walmart, anywhere that they'll sell yarn. You can even try and find this type of yarn at your local yarn shop. I do advise trying to support local businesses, but again, when you're starting off as an absolute beginner, my first advice would be get materials as cheap as possible. So going to a thrift store and getting these materials. You can go to Goodwill or anything like that and get a bag full of this type of yarn for $3. And so there's no shame in that, at least from me. Some people I know have different preferences about that, but for me, simple is best. So this is a 4-ply yarn, and usually what I'll use for this is a 5mm hook. So this is what the type of yarn that I would advise to get when you first start out. And also if you get yarn that has already the wrapper, this is Big Twist. I got this from Joann's. This one goes with this type of yarn. It will tell you in the back what type of ply it is. So in this one, it's a 4, which is exactly what these two other ones are. They're in the same bracket as this one. It's a 4-ply. And it'll tell you if you're knitting, it'll tell you it recommends a 5mm needles, or if you're crocheting, it'll tell you 5mm hook. So it does give you a guideline of what type of hook you can use with the type of yarn that you buy. So this is for a 4-ply. But there are smaller plies. This is a 3-ply yarn. This is commonly used to make socks or that kind of thing. Some people have used this and they'll double the yarn when they crochet. Not like this. They'll use like both ends of so usually you'll have a yarn coming from the top, and then you'll have yarn coming from the middle. So they'll usually have both yarns, one coming from inside the actual skein of the yarn, and then the yarn that's coming out. So they'll do double up and make hats or sweaters or that kind of thing. So that does happen. And so you can tell that there's a difference between the 3rd ply and the 4th ply. So as you can tell, this one is very, very thin, and this one is slightly thicker. And this is the 4-ply right here, and this one's the 3rd ply. Okay, but there is another yarn that I wanted you to check out. This is a chunky yarn. I can't remember if this is a 5 or 6 chunky yarn. It's one or the other. I apologize. I didn't save the wrapper thing for this yarn. But with this yarn, you're going to need a thicker hook for this type of yarn. I've had family members ask me to make them hats with this yarn before, and I've made them these hats, but I don't personally like using this chunkier yarn for hats. My personal preference is to make blankets. I've noticed that when I make hats, it makes it look like I have a mushroom head, and I don't really like that personally, but some people do like that. So it's all about personal preference. That's the one thing I learned about crocheting and doing different hobbies is don't compare yourself to others. We all have different experiences, different strengths, and different preferences. So that is going to be my advice to you, is do not compare yourself to others. Your journey with crocheting or whatever you do is going to be different. It's not better or worse, it's just different. Okay? And so I also wanted to show you guys some crochet projects I've done. This one is a little baby sandal. My baby is due in June, so I wanted to kind of get started on making some cute little baby clothes. Unfortunately, I did mess this one up. I added I think I added an extra row on the sole. It's supposed to be for a newborn, so I am gonna have to redo this. But I just wanted to show you guys some cute things that I've done before. So that there's one of them, and the next one I want to show you guys is this hat that I did. I made this for a friend's son, and I have yet to give it to her. I love the way that this hat looks. I love the rib stitching, and I love the way that the gray and the dark blue look blend well together. I really, really love this hat. So there's one type of hat. There's also, like I said, you're going to have some unfinished projects, and here's one of them. This is a cable crochet style hat, and here is a different brim. As you can tell, the brim here is just a single crochet all around. This one is a different style, and I actually have another one here that has a different brim as well. This has more of a ribbed kind of look to it. I usually do this one versus this one or the other one, the single crochet rib. So this one also has the cable style at the top. And so, yeah, you can do all sorts of different things when you start getting more experience. As a beginner, like I said in my last video, please start with basics. Do something like this with dishcloths or washcloths. And as you start getting more familiar with the basic stitches, then you can continue to do more advanced projects like this, or even this little cute little booty or sandal. So if you have any questions or anything in regards to the video or the materials that I talked about, or even just crochet in general, please leave a comment down below. I really would love to hear from you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you take care. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.